Welcome to Aligned AF, real talk for evolving souls with Yahweh Kent. Join Yahweh for honest conversations on spiritual growth, the messiness of life, and how to move through it all at a higher frequency. So grab a cup of tea and let's sail in. This is Aligned AF, and here's Yahweh.
Hey everybody, welcome back, or welcome to first time you listen, whatever that may be. My name's Yahweh, and this is Aligned AF, real talk for the evolving soul. I'm going to be upfront with you this episode. I've been having a tough time getting it going this week. I had plans today's Friday. Okay, so to give you some perspective, today's Friday. And I had plans starting back last weekend that, my son gets dropped off at school, my wife is at work. I've got time all week to get one or two episodes recorded. And then weather happened, everybody stayed home. Then weather happened again, my little man stayed home. Then, it's just one thing after another. And, excuse me, I was having a tough time getting it started. And kind of tough to do with background noise and things like that. So it's okay, flexible. You got to kind of work that way in the human world. And then today came, and I knew that my son was going to be back in school. My wife's going to be at work. I was actually going to have time to get this done. And there was just something in me that I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't motivated. And I sat with it for a while and realized, that's kind of what the episode is about. It's a process, it's healing, and it's messy, and that's okay. So maybe I just hit record and start talking. This episode is titled Healing is Messy, and That's Okay. And really what I want to get to and what I want to address in this episode is the idea that healing, whether, sometimes people think it's supposed to be a certain way, or we wish it would be a certain way. And the truth is, it's okay that it's not. Healing is not smooth. It's not linear. Sometimes it just reaches up and smacks you upside the head. And that's what I want to talk about today, because it's okay, and there are tools available to help you get through it. And you're not the only one that it's happening to. I'm not the only one that it's happening to. If you're listening, the chances are you've gone through it too. So let's get started. I already told you what the episode's about. Really what I want to do is I want to kind of break that illusion that healing is this linear or predictable process. If you do this, that will happen. There's a lot of self-help type projects out there, self-help roles, self-help tools available. And first of all, don't get me wrong, I am not disparaging any self-help opportunity. If there's an opportunity out there and it resonates with you, frickin' take it. You want to read Wayne Dyer, you want to read Eckhart Tolle or watch a video, you want to follow the Dalai Lama, you want to read the Bible, you want to take a course from Tony Robbins, all of that stuff can work. All of it can resonate with you. But it's okay if it doesn't. And that's really what this is all about. Not everybody can follow the same course. Tony Robbins is an example. He's amazing, and I've got nothing bad to say about Tony Robbins. But I took one of his courses many, many years ago, and quite honestly, it just didn't resonate with me. It wasn't jiving, and that was okay. I moved on. I found other things that could kind of help me along. And I'm all for people doing what they need to do and what feels right for them in any process. You don't even have to listen to me. You can feel free to shut this off right now. That's okay too. But really, it's about accepting the fact that it's not always crystal clear, and there's not always a defined destination. One thing I really want to be clear about is that healing and spirituality and all of that stuff, it's not a place where you end up. It's a process. It's a part of your life. It's minute changes that you make along the way that really can have a big impact further down the road. So think about dropping a pebble in a pond, okay? The first ripple is really tiny, but then that starts to ripple out and ripple out and ripple out and ripple out and ripple out. And aside from gravity and friction, that could go on forever and become bigger and bigger and bigger and have a huge impact on other things. But it starts out as just a pebble in the pond, you know? And that's what I really want to get into. Kind of eliminate the myth that healing has a perfect route, a perfect path. So let's talk a little bit about what causes us to see it that way. What is it that has helped us think or helped us define healing as this process that has steps that are defined and will end up a certain way for anyone? Social issues. I mean, society itself really, pushes that on us sometimes. Social media, especially, can press that on us, and then of course spiritual bypassing, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So how do we accept our process in all of this? Let's talk real quick about like society and how it sees us. When I say society, I mean our family, our friends, our community, the TV commercials, the just the advertising that's out there of how to get better, how to heal, and it's not just spiritual or emotional, it's physical as well. People saying, take this pill, you'll feel better. Yeah, but there's a shitload of other symptoms that go along with that. What are the side effects, I'm all for therapy. Absolutely, go for therapy. Having a space that's safe to be able to talk through what's going on in your life. You got to remember, though, that the person that's there for you, that's creating that safe space for you, is not your healer. You are your healer, and all of it is up to you 100%. What you put into it is what you'll get back from it. And I'm here to tell you that with a little bit of effort, you're going to see a lot of results. But that effort's got to be from you. Okay? So set society aside. Look at social media. What we see is a lot of before and after snapshots. I was 600 pounds and now I'm down to 200 pounds and this is what I did. And that's great. I am absolutely all for it. But what we see is the before and the after, but they don't show us how fucking messy it is in the middle. How hard it is to do that. How many times you tried and stopped. I don't want to say failed, because you'd only fail if you stop trying altogether. But you start a process, and if it's not working out perfectly for you, you stop. We've all done that. Or it's working out, and you're really starting to see results, but then you slip. Whether it's food, whether it's alcohol, whether it's emotional and spiritual healing. You may be following a certain process, a certain guideline that resonates with you. And then you have a bump in the road and you go, well, shit, there that goes. I might as well quit. They don't show you that messy stuff in the middle. And I'm here to tell you that it's the messy stuff in the middle, first of all, that gets the work done. Excuse me. But it's also the messy stuff in the middle that's the most important. Every single bit of that is work. It's part of the process. And you can't decide you're going to do something, close your eyes, and the next day it's done. It doesn't work that way. We live in a human existence. We're spiritual beings, but we're in these bodies. We're in these, meat wagons. And life goes on around us, and we're surrounded by other people that are living these lives too. And what we do affects them, and what they do affects us. So it's okay to take a look at the shitty stuff in the middle. In fact, we really should absolutely take a look at that stuff, because without it, we're fooling ourselves. And how many times do people get discouraged because they weren't told how hard it was going to be, and then they feel like they hit a wall and they quit, thinking that it's too hard for them? I got news for you. It's not too hard for you. A little story, just a short thing. When Alara was pregnant with Orion, we had a nurse midwife, and her name was Kathy. And this was Alara's first child. And I had been through it a couple of times, but honestly, I'm not even going to pretend to have any idea what childbirth is really like for a woman. I have obviously no idea. I can't imagine it. And truly, I believe if it were up to men to have the babies, we'd be gone as a species. But in one of our classes, we talked to Kathy about the process and the contractions and the pushing and all that stuff. And Kathy said something that stuck with me, not just for that, the birth of our son, but for pretty much anything in life. She looked at Alara and she said, Alara, you can do anything for 90 seconds. And that hit me so hard, because she's right. You can do anything for 90 seconds. Absolutely anything. So when you get into the hard stuff, when you get into the bumping up against these walls or feeling like you can't do it, remember that you can. And even if all you do is 90 seconds worth of work and then you take a rest, it's okay. It's okay. Because you can do it. There is literally nothing in the healing realm that you can't do to help yourself out even a little bit. Now, you're going to run into things. People are going to run into situations where there's just no beating what's wrong with your body. Okay, whether it's stage 4 pancreatic cancer or massive heart attack, there are things out there that you're not gonna get through in 90 seconds and come out of it okay. That's just the reality of being human. But for the most part, in the life that we live, we can get through anything. And if you think back on your life and you think about those times where what really was difficult for you, and you think about where you're at now and how you came through it and how you got to the other side of it, you got to remember that you did that. And maybe you had some help. Maybe you had a support system in place. Or maybe you just found a way to do it on your own. But either way, you got through it. And you can do this too. Whatever it is you are going through today, you can make it a little bit better. Even if all you're doing is taking some time to yourself or meditating or reading a good book, you can make it a little better. Listening to a podcast, you can make it a little bit better. Mostly because you're not alone. There's others out there that can offer advice, offer support, offer sympathy, or just hold space for you. There's books, there's classes, there's lectures, there's webinars. There's all kinds of things out there that you can try. And the key is not giving up. For the folks out there that try something for 5 minutes and then say it didn't work, and try something for 5 minutes and say it didn't work, you're not really trying. You're looking for a miracle. You're looking for instant gratification. And that's one of the big things that we have trouble with in our society is instant gratification. 30-day cures, we if you do this for 30 days, you're guaranteed this body. They can't guarantee something like that because it really is based on your effort. It's not based on their program. Their program is a tool, and it may be a really good tool if it's used correctly. A hammer is just a stick with a piece of steel on the end of it until it's used correctly. And that's up to you. It's up to the person that's holding, you're the one that's holding the hammer. So you got to use that tool. There's nothing wrong for searching for them. I'm all for that. But you got to use it. It's not a checklist. Okay? It's a process. It's an experience. You gotta keep in mind that healing can be kind of like a chaotic spiral where you feel like you're on your way up, but then all of a sudden you start whipping around a little bit, maybe even dip back down. But as long as you're constantly moving, you're going to get somewhere. Sometimes it may feel like 1 step forward and 2 steps back, but that's normal sometimes. Sometimes old wounds will surface, and you may have thought that you were past them, but it doesn't mean you failed. It just means that there's more there to be healed. How many times have you said, geez, I thought I was over that, or I thought that was it? Or somebody has said to you, it's been long enough, dude, get over it. I call them the let it go people, the frozen people. That's what I call them, the frozen people. Because they tell you let it go. And sometimes you can't. You can't just let something go. There's a shitload of work in there from point A to point B. There's a ton of stuff in the middle that gets you to the point where you haven't let it go, but you react differently to it. And that's the key. You're not letting anything go. It's gonna stay there. It's always gonna show up. How you feel about it and how you react to it is going to be different if you're doing your work. If you find that something from your past keeps popping up and you kind of react the same way every single time, there's work to be done with that. There's stuff that you can do. There's processes, there's tricks, there's tools that can help you. One of the key tools, excuse me, for me is that 90-second thing. There have been times in my relationship with my wife that we're both guilty of overreacting pretty quickly. Excuse me. Something will come up, it'll be a trigger of some kind, whether it's something that she did that reminded me of my ex-wife, or something that I did that reminded her of the way I used to be when I wasn't Yahweh and I was drinking a lot. And that's normal. It's okay for us to have those things come up. But then we'll overreact to it. Our first reaction is, shit, here we go again. It's back. Great. When if we sat and thought about it for 90 seconds, you take that moment to just stop and to just breathe and to think, is this actually back? Or does it just remind me of the past? And if it's not actually back, if it's just reminding me of the past, how can I react differently so that A, it doesn't bother me as much, and B, it doesn't hurt the other one when I react. And you can do all of that in 90 seconds. And that step right there, that tool right there, is huge for figuring out a better way to deal with things and to validate that it's okay that it came up and it's okay that I remember that feeling. But it's not okay to keep reacting the same way. Not for me, it's not. It's not okay for my well-being to keep reacting that way. Sometimes things come up as physical symptoms, where you have anxiety or heart palpitations or nervousness. You have trouble breathing, panic attacks. There's all kinds of physical reactions to emotional and spiritual situations. And again, aside from making sure your body's okay by seeing a medical professional, because I am all for science, there's also the 90-second rule where you can just take that moment and say, what's happening in my body right now is being caused by something. What is it? Is it physical, or did something trigger this situation? If you can fine tune it to something triggered this, then you can shift it. If you can't, and it really is a physical situation, get your ass to the hospital. Just do it. Don't be afraid of doctors. Don't be afraid of science. I'm not. I'm all for homeopathy. I'm all for healthy eating. I'm all for healing herbs. I'm all for a less pharmaceutical way of taking care of yourself. And I have a pacemaker. I have a replacement heart valve, and I take blood pressure medication. And I like the way it makes me feel. It keeps me going. It makes me feel good about my health and my well-being. And that's okay. It's okay to do that. Something else you want to do is not be afraid of the messiness. Don't resist it. Don't push back at it. I think it was Buddha, and again, I'm probably not going to get the quote right, but I'm pretty sure it was Buddha that said, change is not difficult, resistance to change is difficult. Well, the messiness of the healing process is the change. Okay, what you're trying to do is you're trying to isolate behaviors and feelings and emotions and shift them. And there's something in all of us, every single one of us has moments where we resist change. Sometimes, even if we know that change is better for us, because, it's sort of like the devil you know versus the devil you don't know, where we may be living in just a really rough situation. We may be unhappy all the time. We may have trouble at home or trouble at work. And yet we continue to live with it because the alternative is unknown. And the unknown change is scary. So we resist the change. And that makes us even more uncomfortable. So we have to sit in that chaos. We have to embrace that mess. And we have to be okay with the change. The idea of changing. I want to change. I don't want to overreact. I want to be as happy as I can possibly be every day if I can. I'm not fooling myself to think everything's going to be blissful and sunshine and unicorns all the time. That's just not life. There are going to be bumps in the road. But how I react to them is something that's in my control. So I'm going to embrace the change. I'm going to embrace the chaos and the mess and know for a fact that the reason I'm embracing it is because that is where the healing is. That is the place where you do the work, and doing that work will get me to the other side of it. Doing that work will allow me the opportunity and the tools to not feel shitty anymore, to not feel like everything's out to get me, to not feel like my world is falling apart. I don't want to feel that way. So I'm going to embrace the work, embrace the mess, embrace the chaos, because I know that's where the work is that'll get me where I want to go. And when it's really, really tough, then, you practice some grounding techniques. You do the 90-second thing that I was talking about. If you're in a situation that seems so crazy, so far-fetched, that it's on the verge of ridiculous, just fucking laugh at it. Laughter is wonderful medicine. And it may seem odd, and your friends and family may think you're off the deep end, but sometimes laughing about it is all you've got left. And that's okay. It's okay. One thing in all this that's super important is I want you to think for a minute. I want you to put yourself in a situation where a friend has come to you and said something really tough's going on in their life. Sort of insert your own story here. But a friend has come to you, they said, look, I've got a lot going on. I've got this happening and that happening. I don't know what to do. And I'm really just looking for somebody to listen. And you, being a friend or being a family member or being somebody who cares about them, you listen to them. You support them. Maybe you give them a little bit of advice, but maybe that's not what they're looking for. Maybe they just want somebody to hear them. And now ask yourself, why don't I treat myself that way? When I know I've got a lot going on, when I know I'm in the middle of a difficult situation, why the hell do I beat myself up so much? Why do I say, what the hell is wrong with you? Why do you keep doing this? Why do you keep reacting this way? Jesus Christ, you're never going to get it done. You're never going to get over this. Why do you do that to yourself? Why did I? Hell, I'm still guilty of it today sometimes. The nice thing about everything that I've been through and the tools that I use is I catch myself sooner now. I'm not immune from it. I'm not exempt from it. But I catch myself sooner. And I don't suffer with it for a few days or a week or more. I catch myself. So treat yourself like a friend. Treat yourself like you truly love the person that you are, and you truly want to help them, to listen to them. And then listen to yourself, because you deserve it. There is one person, there is one person in this world that you spend every single moment with your entire life, from the first breath to the last breath, and the moments in between, including when you're asleep. And that person is you. And why wouldn't you treat yourself with the love and the kindness that you would treat your spouse or your mom or your child? Why wouldn't you do that? And I know we don't sometimes. I've done many times in my life. I've treated myself like shit. And I'm really, really grateful for the tools that I've discovered along the way, for the tools that were shared with me, or the tools that I read about that I've actually implemented to help me with that process. The other thing is grounding practices. Now, there are times where this whole process, may feel extremely chaotic. And grounding is really, really important for you at this moment. For those of you that may not know what grounding is, it's not some new agey wah wah hoo hoo kind of thing. You don't need to draw a pentagram on the ground or surround yourself with flowers or anything like that. It's really just about centering yourself and connecting yourself in such a way with solid, stable energy that you feel like you can withstand anything, that you're not going to get toppled over. And there's different techniques. Sometimes it's literally doing the I'm a tree technique, where you may go outside barefoot or not, that's up to you, but stand out in nature with a tree, stand on the grass, and just picture yourself being rooted into the grass. Picture yourself through your feet growing roots into the ground below you and actually spreading out. The more you can spread out those roots, the more stable you're going to be. A tree doesn't withstand the wind because it's so big on the outside. A tree withstands the wind because its root system is so big and so deep and so connected to the earth. And that's what we don't do enough. We don't ground ourselves and grow our roots enough sometimes. And we feel like a freaking balloon on a piece of string going all over the place. So getting outside and doing a grounding technique is good. Breathing techniques. If you can find a breathwork class, freaking take it. Because the worst it can do is help you breathe better. I've done a few breathwork techniques. One that I did through when I was taking lessons through Yogananda. I've taken lessons through that school, and one of the breathing techniques. And I made a commitment not to share their techniques, and I take that commitment very seriously. But I don't think I'm breaking a commitment just to say they've got some breathing techniques that have helped me a lot, and I use them all the time, of just how you breathe, how you intentionally breathe. One thing about intentional breathing is, our bodies breathe naturally by themselves. From our first, I'm older, so my first slap on the ass by the doctor, they don't do that anymore. But when I took that first breath, my body started working, and it's been breathing on its own ever since. And when you intentionally breathe, your whole system says, what the hell are you doing? We do that for you. And you just intentionally breathe right through that. And it tells your body that it's time to slow down, that it's time to be present and to be anchored and to allow thought to take over that for a minute. Just to center yourself, just to get yourself in a space where you feel you have control. Because sometimes when we react or overreact, we feel completely out of control. And grounding ourselves with breath work can really help us regain that sense of control that we need to have. And there's lots of other ways. You can look up grounding techniques on YouTube. You can look them up just by Googling them. There's lots of choices out there. And there's some really great breathwork people out there. I know a few of them myself. And maybe I'll have one or two on the show at a later date. So what does progress look like? If it's chaotic, and it's okay to be chaotic, how do you recognize progress? There's always going to be struggles. There's nothing you can do about that. But how you handle them is where the change comes in. And within those struggles, within doing your work, you're going to have these small wins. You're going to have these moments where you say, hey, I did okay with that. I handled that really well. Celebrate those, man, because we kind of let stuff go. Well, it's no big deal. I don't need a participation trophy. You know what? Take the fucking trophy because you deserve it. Every single win is a big win as far as I'm concerned. Whatever it is, you handled the situation at work differently. You had a difficult conversation with your spouse and nobody blew up. You had to talk to your child about something that you knew they were not going to be happy about, but you found a way to talk to them in such a way that they didn't overreact to. And quite honestly, that's a huge win because that means not only did you handle the situation correctly, but you're probably doing a good job at raising your kid. That's a big one. But celebrate all the wins, every single one of them. Sit down at some point of the day, whether it's the end of the day or after dinner or when you're having tea, whatever it is, take a moment to say, what did I have? What happened today that I can call a win? There's always going to be something. What can I call a win? Even if you had a shitty day, it was all chaos, you feel like you just got beat up, you can say, well, me sitting down right now looking for a win is a win because I'm taking the time. I'm following what I need to do for myself. That's a win right there. Celebrate all of them. You also got to give yourself time to reset and to integrate. When you're going through a process, when you're taking a class, when you're doing breath work, when you're watching a webinar that's got intense healing in it, when you're reading a book, whatever it might be, we tend to not take enough time to sit with it and let it integrate into our systems. When I read a book on healing or enlightenment or anything like that, like let's say I was reading Eckhart Tolle, especially Eckhart Tolle, I don't just sit down and read that book. I read that book. I may read a page and then sit with it. I may read a paragraph. I may read a line, a sentence, and just sit with it for a while and think, what does that mean to me? How does it relate to my life? Or that sounds like a great idea. How can I incorporate that into my everyday routine? Sit with it, reset, let it integrate, take the time. And then you got to just trust. You got to trust the process. It's going to feel ugly. It's going to feel uncomfortable. And you got to trust it. Going back to embracing the chaos. Trust the process because it's in that process, it's in that work, it's in that ugliness and uncomfortableness that the good shit happens. Embrace it and really trust it because trust is key. Well, I feel like I kind of crammed a lot into a little bit of time here. So I want to begin to wrap up a little bit. Really, the kind of stuff that we talked about today, we're just kind of scratching the surface, and there's going to be more. I'm going to dig deep in future episodes. I'm going to dig real deep into tools, and I'm going to dig real deep into what's available to us out there, what I can offer you, what others can offer you. And we'll talk about, it's not all going to be super heavy, only the bad stuff, only the heavy stuff. We're going to talk about the good stuff too. But in the meantime, for what we talked about here today, some of your takeaways need to be that healing's not linear, okay? And it's not pretty, but it's always worth it. It's 100% worth the work that you put into it. And if you're in the thick of it right now, you're not doing it wrong. Okay? You're not. You're right in it. It's like being in the middle of the fight, in the middle of the war. And this is important. This one moment, this one battle that you're dealing with is important. And if you get knocked down, you set and you reset and you integrate, and then you get your ass up and you keep going. And you try again and again, or you try something new, and then you try that again and again, but you don't give up. So what I want to do is I want to offer you guys the opportunity to reach out. During the outro, there's a list of a couple of, like, my Facebook page and where I'm at on Instagram, things like that. There's also my website, which right now is kind of in process. It's not 100% done yet. But there's also my email address. And I would love it. I would love to hear from you with your success stories or your chaos stories or ideas for future episodes. What would you like me to really dig into? You know, something that you heard here today that sparked an idea. Write it down and then send it to me. I can't promise how quickly I'll respond, but I promise I will do my best to respond. That's easy for me to say right now because we're just starting out. So I've got the time to shoot you back an answer. I want your involvement. I want you to want to be here with me because this is for me as much as it's for you. I'm really enjoying the idea of having this chance to spend time with you, to spend time sharing tools that I've found over the years that I know work for me, that maybe will work for you. But I also know of other tools out there that either I used and didn't work but may work for you, or I haven't used yet at all, but I know they work for somebody else. I want to share all of that with you guys. So my email is alignedafpodcast@gmail.com. So just like it sounds, alignedafpodcast@gmail.com. Shoot me a line. Reach out. I would love it. I do have to throw a disclaimer in here. Just a quick note to say, look, I love diving into deep conversations about healing and energy and all things spiritual. But I am not a doctor. I am not a therapist. I am not a medical professional. The insights that I share here are based on my own experiences and are based on perspectives that I've come to in my own healing journey. They're not meant to replace professional medical or mental health advice. So take what resonates with you, do your own research, and always seek support where you need it. Remember that you're your own best healer, and I'm just here to spark some inspiration along the way. So thanks for hanging out with me. I think this was a little less clunky than the first one, and I'm sure that I will get better as I continue to follow this road that I'm currently on. This road to being aligned AF. And remember that here AF means authentic frequency. Find your own aligned, authentic frequency. And even when it's messy, remember that you're getting closer to aligned AF every single day. Take care. Well, thanks for hanging out with me today. If this episode spoke to you at all, share it with a friend or someone who needs it. You can also leave a review or connect with me online. You can find Aligned AF on YouTube, Facebook, your favorite podcast channel, or at alignedaf.org. And if you want to reach out directly, you can email me at alignedafpodcast gmail.com. So until next time, stay aligned AF.